Picture this. You are standing in the middle of an ancient city under a punishing, brilliant desert sun.
Right, and it's completely silent.
Exactly. The architecture around you is grand, the alleyways are perfectly laid out, you walk up to a merchant's stall, and the shelves are, well, they're fully stocked.
Looking exactly as if the shopkeeper just, stepped away for a quick drink of water.
Yeah, but there is no shopkeeper. You look down the street, there are no buyers, there are no animals, there's no sound at all. Just this deathly haunted silence.
It is a dead city. But there are no signs of war, no fires, no collapsed walls, just absolute absence.
And that eerie cinematic stillness is exactly where we find ourselves as we begin today's deep dive. So if you're listening to this right now, dim the lights, lean in.
We are definitely taking you on a journey into the unknown today.
We really are. Looking through the latest manuscript chapters and the historical notes you send over, we are stepping into the 44th chapter of the saga, Chasing Death. We are tracking Zayn.
And based on the notes, we know the crushing secret Zayn carries. He is an immortal wanderer.
Over 2,000 years old, right. The son of Pharaoh Malek, cursed to live until the world faces utter annihilation.
That's the one. And today, our mission is to unpack the immense psychological weight of this specific leg of his journey.
Right. We are going to look at the boundaries of ancient mysticism. We'll analyze the brutal logistical realities of the ancient slave trade and confront the sheer primal terror of humanity facing off against the uncontrollable forces of nature.
Because we are essentially dissecting how a character who cannot die interacts with a world that is so defined by its fragility.
I love how you phrase that. So let's start right back in that hollowed-out city. Zayn is walking these entirely empty streets.
And the tension is just building with every step.
Right. According to the text, he finds a pile of fodder left out in the sun, untouched. He leaves his horse to graze and continues on foot. And then he spots an elderly man sitting against a stone wall.
Which, in an environment defined by total absence, seeing a human figure is a jarring psychological disruption.
I mean, Zayn rushes over, understandably desperate for answers, right?
Completely. But the man is motionless. His eyes are shut. And when Zayn gently nudges his shoulder, the man just collapses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he just falls limply to the dust. No heartbeat. He is completely lifeless.
It makes me think of an ancient Pompeii, but entirely without the ash. The people here weren't buried by a volcanic eruption, they just vanished.
Leaving behind intact homes and a few quiet corpses, it confirms this creeping dread that whatever event swept through this city, it left zero survivors.
It raises such a fascinating question about Zayn's mindset, too. If you have lived for over 2 millennia, if you have seen empires rise and fall, does witnessing an entirely vanished civilization make you feel more resilient?
Because you outlasted them.
Yeah. Or does it just make you feel infinitely more isolated?
I think it undeniably compounds the isolation. Zayn is a permanent fixture in a temporary world. Every time he encounters the remnants of a destroyed society, it is a visceral reminder of that.
That he's tethered to a reality where everything else eventually disappears. He's totally out of sync with the natural order of life and death.
Exactly. But that profound isolation gets challenged almost immediately, because as he backs away from the dead man, he hears a sound cutting through the silence.
Right, this rhythmic metallic chiming. Chan-chan. Anklets.
It's a masterful use of sensory detail in the text. He turns and sees a woman dressed in the elaborate traditional attire of a dancer.
And she doesn't even speak to him. She just smiles, turns into an alleyway, and beckons him to follow.
And every time she rounds a corner, she pauses, waits for him, and then vanishes again, the chiming leading him deeper into the city.
To this colossal temple. And outside, there is a massive stone bowl with a bright, crackling fire burning inside it.
But the gateway to this temple is dominated by something really specific, an imposing stone statue of a water buffalo.
Which is such a disorienting detail for Zayn. In your notes, you highlight that Zayn's abducted companion, Asha, told him her parents worshipped the water buffalo.
Right, and her family is in Mohenjo-Daro.
So for a split second, Zayn's reality fractures. He wonders if he has somehow stumbled into Mohenjo-Daro itself.
Even though his geography tells him that city is supposed to be weeks away across a vast ocean, it just shows how desperate his mind is to find her.
It really highlights his vulnerability. Inside the temple, he watches this woman perform an ethereal, graceful dance around a sacred fire.
An act of profound worship. And when the ritual is complete, she walks directly up to him.
Adorned with white flowers, heavy golden bangles, a silver amulet, and then she completely shatters his reality.
She drops the ultimate bombshell.
She looks right at him and says, "Your name is Zayn, and you are the son of Pharaoh Malik. You've walked this earth for more than 2,000 years, and you are destined to remain alive until the day the world faces utter annihilation."
Imagine the shock of that moment.
I mean, you've guarded a fundamental secret about your existence for 2 millennia, and a complete stranger in a ghost town just casually recites your resume.
Yeah, she introduces herself as Vashti, a Devadasi, basically a temple servant or priestess dedicated to the god Amun. She claims all the hidden secrets of the earth are laid bare to her.
And as an oracle, she provides the context Zayn is looking for, starting with the city itself.
Right, she explains that it wasn't a plague or a war. She says the earth literally swallowed the citizens whole because they surrendered entirely to corruption and murder.
The gods sent warnings, the citizens ignored them, and so they were erased. Leaving their intact home standing is essentially a monument to their own punishment.
It is. But Zayn's main focus is Asha. He asks Vashti where she is, and Vashti closes her eyes, drifts inward, and accesses this clairvoyant state.
And what does she see?
She reveals that Asha is currently traversing the open sea, abducted by bandits, and is heading toward the kingdom of Helab or Jerusalem.
Which sets up this really fascinating dynamic regarding the limits of Vashti's power. Zayn begs her to intervene. He essentially says, "If you know everything, save her."
But Vashti's response defines the boundary between divine knowledge and human agency. She possesses the spiritual sight to reveal where Asha is, but she is spiritually powerless to physically intervene.
Her domain is observation.
Exactly. She cannot reach across the ocean and pluck a captive from a ship. She can illuminate the path, but Zayn must physically walk through the world and exact change.
Knowledge versus action. So she gives him incredibly precise directions. Head east, follow the shoreline, find the river, go upstream until you hit the port city of Smyrna.
From there, he can secure a ship to Sin and eventually make his way to Mohenjo-Daro.
And when he reaches Smyrna, the tone of the story shifts dramatically.
It is an abrupt pivot from ethereal mysticism to the desperately practical logistics of the ancient world. Smyrna is this vibrant, bustling harbor town.
But Zayn hits a massive administrative wall. He needs to get to Sind, but the only passenger vessel isn't scheduled to leave for 50 days.
And the only cargo ship leaving in 3 days absolutely does not take passengers, unless you get the captain's explicit permission.
But there's a catch. The captain is dying. Every renowned physician has given up. And his affliction. It's a relentless, violent case of the hiccups.
Now, to a modern listener, hiccups sound trivial, almost comedic.
Right, like drink some water upside down.
Exactly. But in this context, it is a severe physiological crisis. The spasms have been continuous for days. His throat is raw, he has a fever, he can barely draw breath. If this loop isn't broken, exhaustion will kill him.
So Zayn walks into the captain's quarters, surrounded by anxious family and sailors, and announces he can cure him. He clears the room, and his medical intervention is, well, I have to push back on Zayn here. It is terrifying.
It really is.
He asks for a sharp dagger, then asks if the captain has a child. They bring in the captain's young beloved daughter. Zayn tells his guide no harm will come to her, but he proceeds to bind the little girl's hands.
All while the dying captain is watching from his bed, completely helpless.
And unable to articulate his rage through the violent spasms, so Zayn takes the dagger, presses it directly to the little girl's throat, and she screams in absolute terror.
The captain just erupts from his bed.
He roars that he's going to kill Zayn. He literally grabs Zayn by the throat, and in that exact second, the captain realizes his voice is completely clear. The hiccups are gone.
Zayn calmly unties the girl and shows the captain that he only ever used the dull, flat side of the blade. The girl was never in actual danger.
But the captain's mind had to believe she was. Looking at this, I mean, was this calculated medical genius or an insanely reckless gamble? Because to me, it feels like the ancient equivalent of fixing a frozen computer by violently ripping the power cord out of the wall.
That is a great analogy.
Yeah.
Because that is essentially the physiological mechanism required to break an entrenched autonomic loop. Zayn forced a hard reset on the nervous system.
By triggering the fight-or-flight response.
Exactly. The paternal instinct to protect his child flooded the captain's system with adrenaline, forcing the diaphragm to reset. It is psychologically brutal, but clinically, the logic holds.
A violent cure for a violent world. And the captain is profoundly grateful. He immediately grants Zayn passage to Sind. But this victory is instantly followed by a devastating reality check.
Because when Zayn explains why he needs to get to Mohenjo-Daro, the captain delivers a crushing blow. The captain understands the mechanics of this world better than Zayn does.
He outlines the highly organized nature of the ancient slave trade. These aren't just opportunistic desert bandits.
No, the text reveals they are part of a vast supply chain. Inland bandits operate in tandem with a massive fleet of pirates. The bandits acquire the captives, and the pirates provide secure transport, funneling human beings into major wholesale hubs.
Specifically, the great port of Antioch. The captain tells Zayn point blank, you will not reach her in time. Within days, she will be sold in the slave markets of Antioch or Halab, and she will disappear forever.
It's a chilling breakdown of how systematic human trafficking was. It was an industry.
And this harsh reality sparks a fascinating philosophical debate. Zayn absorbs this horrific information, yet he remains resolute. He states his belief that the Almighty Lord will protect Asha.
Which perfectly sets up the clash of worldviews. Zayn's unwavering monotheistic faith versus the captain's deeply ingrained pagan pragmatism.
The captain essentially says, you cannot cross this volatile life on faith alone. You have to actively offer sacrifices to appease the gods of the earth and the sea, or the elements will destroy you.
It is the conflict between trusting in divine providence and managing the chaotic elements of the natural world through constant negotiation. The sea does not care about faith. It only respects survival.
They agree to disagree, but there is mutual respect. The captain even takes Zayn into his own stone mansion while they wait for the cargo ship. But that pragmatic survival instinct is put to the test the moment they leave the harbor.
The atmospheric shift here is crucial. We move to the evening of the third day. The massive merchant vessel is loaded. The oarsmen are in position. You can feel the energy shift.
The text paints such a vivid picture. It's night. Iron braziers and torches are lit all along the port, reflecting off the dark water. Aboard the ship, torches cast this warm, amber light across the open deck.
They pull away from the harbor, and the lights of the city slowly fade into the absolute blackness of the open ocean.
Zayn and the captain share a lavish dinner of roasted duck and seasoned peacock meat,
creating a scene of perfect, almost deceptive tranquility. For the first 2 days, the sea is remarkably calm, but the captain refuses to let his guard down. He issues an ominous warning.
He tells Zayn, do not let the still water deceive you. This is the season of tempests.
Yeah.
Violent storms have a habit of appearing without warning.
And on the afternoon of the third day, the environment proves him right. It starts subtly with thin gray clouds. A cold, cutting wind suddenly whips across the deck.
The captain's relaxed demeanor vanishes instantly. He starts barking orders, and then the sky completely blacks out.
The transition to absolute chaos is instantaneous. The wind whips the surface of the sea into a boiling frenzy. Lightning violently splits the cloud cover, followed by a colossal crack of thunder that physically shakes the timbers of the ship.
I really want us to sit with the reality of this moment. There is a massive psychological difference between experiencing a rainstorm on land versus a tempest on the open sea.
Oh, completely.
If you are sitting in a modern apartment, you watch a storm through double-paned glass, you have a solid foundation, but out there, it is an entirely different primal nightmare. You are trapped in a tiny wooden box, miles from land, in total darkness.
No high-tech weather radar, no Coast Guard. The rain is a harbinger of uncontrollable destruction.
And we have to consider the historical context. Modern ships are steel behemoths, but these ancient vessels...
They were remarkably fragile. Lightweight constructions relying entirely on wood, pitch, and rope.
The text describes waves that are 8 to 10 feet high. Out on the open ocean, those are rising like solid walls of dark water, crashing violently against a wooden hull that is fighting to hold itself together.
Every single wave threatens to pull the entire structure down into the churning depths. The ship is being pitched about like a toy.
Which underscores the profound courage of the people who navigated that era. They embarked on these perilous journeys armed with nothing but physical endurance and the stars.
Confronting the ocean's apocalyptic wrath, knowing retreat was impossible.
So what does this all mean for us? We've followed Zayn through a deeply unsettling landscape today. We started in the haunting silence of a ghost city, unpacking how a civilization can be swallowed whole by its own corruption.
We watched him enact a psychologically violent medical cure just to navigate the logistical nightmares of travel.
We uncovered the terrifying scale of the pirate networks feeding the slave markets. And now we leave him in the deafening roar of an ocean tempest.
This section forces us to confront the incredible fragility of life in the ancient world. Surviving this era required an awe-inspiring level of bravery and a constant negotiation with forces entirely out of human control.
It really did. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final lingering thought based on everything we've unpacked. Something to ponder in the quiet of your own room.
About Zayn's immortality.
Yeah. We know Zayn's secret. Vashti confirmed it. He is destined to live until the day the world faces utter annihilation. But what does immortality actually mean when your fragile wooden ship is being torn apart by an 8-foot wave?
I mean, he can't die.
Exactly. He might not be able to die. But if that ship cracks open and goes down, could he spend the next 1,000 years drowning over and over again in the crushing blackness at the bottom of the sea?